Excellent. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I know there were some very good sessions this time. I appreciate you coming to mine. I'm going to be doing something a little different. It's not specifically on Teams or collaboration tools. This is more on how to better your appearance on cameras, microphones, as well as some of the very cool tools and devices that I've found that help enhance my experience, and I want to share that with you guys. Once again, thanks to all the sponsors. I'm sure you've heard it for every session. Be sure to see them shortly after this. They close up out there at 1 o'clock. That's when you can bring your bag, and they're trying to shove all of their swag onto you. But yeah, bring your bag if you're local. That's, those go a long way. This is just a quick agenda, what we're going to talk about, which we'll go through. Introduction. If you can bear with me, I have just a couple slides on intro. My name's Matt Slaga. I work for Kyndryl. That's my day job. I'm a global consulting, global director for Microsoft 365, focused on Teams. I worked in the tech industry far too long. I've been an IT volunteer for over 15 years at different organizations. There's my family there. I got two of my two oldest are here with me this week. You've probably seen them and met them around. They're much more persons than I am, which is, I did something right. One of the actually I did a lot of volunteering, so about 7 years ago, can't believe it now, it's been 7 years, a couple like-minded individuals, myself, started a nonprofit, and its focus is helping other nonprofits with their technology decisions. You just see a lot of them kind of getting taken advantage of or don't know about discounts. We jump in, help out. We do it all for free. It's focused on SMB, those that don't have. Just wanted to throw that in there. So something that spun up from that is some of the nonprofits we support are not located where the board members are. And we're like, how can we create a program to train people so they can come help us out on occasion, jumpstart a career? And then we opened it up and said, why stop there? We created it's a DBA of IT for Nonprofit, that we provide technical certification scholarships to aspiring future tech leaders. And it's been so much fun seeing these recipients of these scholarships. They start taking some exams, they get certified, and they go off start their career. It's just so rewarding. It's awesome. And since IT for Nonprofit, we go and deploy stuff for customers. This is some of our scholarship recipients helping us install equipment and rack. Of course, it's volunteer. We can't pay them. But they get to learn. They get hands-on. Here, they're installing a bunch of Ubiquity equipment at a house of worship in Virginia. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about enhancing your personal brand. That's kind of part of it, and I'm trying to make it pretty exciting. I'm going to ask some questions, some audience interaction here and there. Might even have something to give you if you get the answer right. So we all know the environment. We're always on the phone, on video, most of the time remote. We don't get to travel as much as we'd like. Sometimes that interaction with people, we'd love to get it, we just don't get it. But I want to try to help you enhance the way you look and sound in your meetings day to day without having to spend a lot of money. Even if you don't spend any money, hopefully some of the tips I can give you for placement of devices will help you so you sound better. This is a quick snippet of some of the things I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about what they are, why I think they make a difference, and then I'm going to give you a demonstration. Some of them I'll have to do screenshots because I couldn't put all of the apps on one PC without exploding. All right, microphones. You guys know there's always that one person on a meeting, hopefully it's you, that just sounds crisp and clear. They sound like they're in a studio. And then there's always that one person that has to repeat themselves. Okay, we all know, hopefully it's but if you watch YouTube videos, YouTube people, they're always using special microphones and they're using them for a reason. So this is where a small investment can make a big difference. Most of our calls are audio only, might have some video, but this is the way we can make a difference in the way we appear and sound. It's a crash course on microphones. I'm not going to get super technical. The first one is dynamic. These are the ones that probably the majority of us would use or want to use. They are better at capturing the audio. They do need to be a little closer to the speaker. However, they also kind of filter out a little bit of the room noise, and they're directional. And that comes into play later. Now, if you happen to have a studio then you want a condenser microphone. And Scott will correct me on that because he's probably the expert on this more than I am. But this is very crisp, really clean sound. Most of the YouTubers use it, but most of them have a studio soundproofing. Or if you happen to be lucky and have a very quiet room, you could probably do a condenser. But it is going to pick up some room noise. Now, I made the mistake or used an omnidirectional. We all got those hockey pucks years ago. And they're great in a conference room if you have multiple people. But omnidirectional is going to pick up everything in the room. So if it's just me, that's not the best choice. If the dog barks in the other room, it's going to pick it up. Someone opens a door, the air conditioner turns on, it's all going to get picked up. They do have some sound dampening and stuff, you can do it, but why not take that part out and focus it on what you need. All right, so placement of your microphone is very important. I've got two pictures here. So if you picture the orange, could be whatever noise you have problem with at home. Could be a fan, could be an air conditioner, could be a kid, could be a dog, mailman, whatever. So I've got a question. How many people here would say A is the correct placement that you'd want to set? Got one? Just one? Who would say B? Two? Okay. If you chose A, no, sorry. Now, the reason for that is these are directional microphones. So that sound is going from the sound, and it'll go around the person, and it'll go into that directional microphone. Now, if I put the back of the microphone to the sound, it's going to pick me up a lot more and a lot less. The only thing it's going to pick up of that sound is reflections. All right. Now, this I want to compare the difference between a microphone and a laptop and a nice microphone. So I'm like, all right, I've got the equipment, I'll record it, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm sure someone on YouTube has done this. And so I found this video, I just did a clip from it. It's actually B&H. I'm sure they're selling one of their fancy mics, but I'm gonna go ahead and play it.
We'll all be conducting business via video chats more and more. It sounds easy enough, except our quality of audio and video varies depending on our computer's built-in camera and microphone. For most of us, myself included, we're just using our computer's internal microphone, which doesn't sound great.
This is my internal iMac built-in microphone. As you can tell, it's very echoey. My voice is reflecting off of the wall, the actual desktop itself, the windows. It's just picking up everything in this room, which is not a sound studio, so it doesn't sound great. Clearly not professional for a Zoom call meeting.
You see, internal mics are not directional, and the quality solely depends on the room you are in. And we'll all be conducting business via video chats.
Sorry, I forgot to take it off loop. All right. So you can definitely hear the difference. There's definitely some echo in the background. All right, so I'm done with microphones. Okay, 1 out of 7 done. All right, cameras. We all know what cameras are. It's a combination of lens, some type of focus, and light sensitivity. And why they make a difference? So there's lots of different cameras, and I just want to say the optimal ones are not, generally not. I'm sure there's a laptop out there that'll prove me wrong. Most, if it's built into your laptop, is not an optimal webcam, and I'm going to demonstrate that here in a minute. And when you're on calls with video with your customers, your coworkers, whatever, you always want to put on your best face. You want to set your personal brand. You want to let people know that you care. And placement of your camera is important. All right, so placement. If you're using a basic webcam, if you can place it right, you can make it work better. So you want it above the monitor. That's why the webcams are on top of the laptops. Now, if your laptop screen wobbles, don't hang your camera off the top. Get a stand. I got one here, but I've got it because I need to move it around later. Of course, you want to make sure it's facing the seating position. And now there's a difference between camera placement and then there's you placement. So if you happen to sit and behind you is a window, you need to get some coverings over that window. Otherwise, you're going to be, the shady guy that's asking for $1 million. Now, if the lighting is on the ceiling, just coming straight down, you might want to try to either come up with other lighting, which I'm going to talk about later in the presentation. But for me, I have lighting from the ceiling. It makes it look like I have shadows under my eyes, like I haven't slept in a week, and that's probably not the best appearance I want to make when I'm talking to customers. Now, if your camera's too low, which I'm sorry, this one when I'm demonstrating is too low, that's I won't say it out loud, but it's on the slide. And then there's cameras that are on the sides. I think we get that sometimes because we have multiple monitors and our camera's on one and we look at another. It's got to be very cognizant, and you want to appear focused on this meeting. If you're looking off to the side, even if you're paying attention to the meeting, it looks like you're not. So here we are, placement examples. So here we are, probably multiple monitors here, top left, which I can bring here. I got the big mouse. There we go. So it's coming off from the side. Yeah, I'm sure he's paying attention, but it doesn't look like it. So this one is the nose cam. Thank goodness he doesn't have any that we have to see. And this is kind of another placement. This is good. He put a check mark. I scraped these off the internet. Now I do have I don't think that's the best placement for him. It happens to be not where he is placed, but what's behind him. So if you remember, there was I don't remember if he was a senator, the UN, whatever, and the kids come in and the nanny like drags them out by their arms and legs. That's the kind of thing that could happen. That could be distracting. It may not give the impression you're trying to give. Now lighting on the bottom here, you've got the dark room. That looks like, Al Capone type thing. And then if you have a window behind you, then you're in witness protection. Because the camera's going to really work hard to pick that up. And then you've got him here. Again, I don't know if that's the best placement. There is still a window, even though it's farther back. But he has enough light to compensate for it. I do have, these slides will go out. You guys will have access to them. I did find a really good link on the bottom here that talks about positioning your camera that I thought was very well written as part of my research putting this together. So it's definitely there. The other part I want to talk about is lens. And these are two good cameras. The Logitech Brio, it's probably not the latest version, but that's a good camera. And then you have the Poly P15 that it's sitting on top of. Now the Poly P15 is what I'd call a fixed camera. That's not one you're going to travel with. It's too big. But you can see the lens difference. You can see that Poly's definitely got a much higher quality lens. But you get that with a fixed. But if you need to travel, obviously the Logitech is still a good camera, but I just wanted to kind of show there's some difference there. So if you compare that, hold your camera next to your webcam on your laptop, and you're like, yeah. All right, so what are some of the best cameras out there? If you happen to have an extra DSLR, I'm sorry, I always say that backwards, DSLR. If you have one extra, a lot of them have a PC Connect. You can use that as a USB webcam. That's going to have the best optics. Obviously, you can choose what lens you put on, and if you actually watch a lot of people on YouTube, that's what they're using. But the downside is they're expensive. So that's why if you have one laying around that you're not using all the time, it's a great stand for it, put it on there and use it. The next is the fixed. I would call them the fixed devices that are kind of purpose-built, and they don't have to worry about making them portable. So I've got some of those listed here. Kind of the good portable cameras, I'd say the Jabra Panacast, which I happen to have here, thanks to Josh. Logitech Brio that I have there, Yealink has them. You can use your iPhone. That's actually a good portable one. I think that works mostly if you have a Mac. You can do that kind of iPhone to Mac. And you have some mid-range cameras. And unless you're like super desperate, don't go buy the $10 webcam from Walmart. It's unless you just, unless you really have to. But, all right, let me do a demonstration here. I'm going to show the difference between built-in webcam and the Jabra Panacast. All right, so there's the built-in. Now you can see it's a little bit foggy. It looks like, it might be misting in here. It's not super clear. You guys see it? It's a little grainy. That's just the built-in. Now this is a pretty decent laptop. This is a high-end Dell i7 laptop, and this is what they call their premium webcam built in. Now if I switch to the Jabra Panacast, there's actually color. There's a little more. So let me switch. I'm going to put them both up side by side. So here we are. You can kind of see, it's definitely clearer on the Jabra than it is on the built-in. That's what I'm just trying to pose. So You might think, hey, it looks okay to me, but you don't really have much to compare it to. Now you do. All right, now this is my favorite piece of hardware. Actually learned about this device from Pat Richards, who helping to do all the AV stuff over the years. So what it is, it's a USB hardware device that has different buttons on it depending on what version or hardware model you have. And each button has an LCD screen that you can program for anything you can pretty much think of. There's all kinds of stuff you can do it. And you can actually have them do macros. So you can hit one button and do several different things, which I will get into here in a minute. There's also community and vendor integration. So a lot of vendors have got integrations into it. Even smart home, if anybody uses Home Assistant, that is integrated into it, which is awesome. You can not only see buttons that tell you push, turn on and off, but you can see actual live data on there. You have stocks on there. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do. All right, why I think this makes a difference in collaboration. So we've all had the plethora of windows open, and we're in a conference call. Maybe we're presenting, and we need to mute to sneeze or something. If I have to find that snooze button when I'm about to, or not snooze, I'm sorry, the mute button when I'm about to sneeze, I'm not going to find it in time. But if I have a hardware button I can just reach over and press, I can mute myself without having to find that window. There's all kinds. You can actually create these into a dashboard to see all kinds of different information. And it integrates to several of the tools that I'm going to talk about in this session. Here's some screenshots. I'm going to do some demo as well. Here on the left, we have the application you use to program the buttons. Over here is what's called the Elgato Marketplace, where you can get plugins to enhance and add more features to it. And then I've got a terrible picture. I apologize. Hopefully the cameras will pick it up better. I am going to switch to demo mode. I just have to hide what's behind the scenes here. Okay. All right, so let me go home here. So this is my home screen on what's called the Stream Deck XL. Now up here I actually have a second one that I'm going to demonstrate here in a minute. And this is very slow. All right, this is a Stream Deck Plus, which is a little bit different because it has buttons and knobs, which I'm going to demonstrate. It's kind of cool. But I'm actually going to add some. I need to take my glasses off since I can see close. Stream Deck. All right, so I've got, actually here's one. This is a script I have. Who does Bing rewards? Anyone do Bing rewards? Am I the only one? So, recently they changed how you get rewards. There's timers and you have to wait so long. I push this button, it opens a web browser, Bing, does a search, closes the browser, waits 30 seconds, does it again. All for me pushing a button so I can get my points, but I just thought I'd share that one. All right, so I've got, I need to make some important work decisions, business decisions. So I'm going to add in the magic 8-ball. So if I hit that button, if I press it here, it's going to tell me what my decision is. I may rely on it. I'm going to have a great session today. Perfect. Excellent. Now if I want to, let's say I want to add a new one, a plugin I don't have. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do, let's do weather. That's a nice one to have with the glance. So here's one. It's actually written by a person, which is one of the pretty cool. Some of them, they have some now where it's a store. You can buy some from different vendors. All right, so as you can see in the background, it just said it was installed. So now if I scroll down, I should be able, yep, here's weather. So if I drag weather over here, I'm going to get some options here. So I can type in, oh, yeah, there's some setup. I didn't. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the whole weather setup. That was that was off the cuff. I figured I'd try weather, but I didn't realize there was a lot of config in the back end. So live and learn. But here's one like website. Let's say I want to put a website here. I'm going to call it Microsoft. I can spell that right. And I can't tab to the next one. So I'm just going to put in the URL, Microsoft.com. And look, it went to Microsoft and pulled the icon for me. So Now I have that. So if I press that button, and it's opening on the wrong side. Okay, well, it just opened my browser. You can trust me on that. Actually, I think I know what all right. But on this right side is all the different plugins you can add in. Like, for instance, there's one for Teams. So if I hit my Teams button here, I've got interactions for Teams that I can access. So I'm actually doing a Teams meeting. I'll show you later why. But I want to give a thumbs up. I just push a button over here, and it does it. Turn video on and off. I can mute. There's some of these that are built in. There's some that I was playing around with actually doing hotkeys. There's a lot of hotkeys you can do for Teams. So there's an app in there for focus. Give focus to Teams. That way you don't have to have Teams like in focus in your Windows desktop. So it gives Teams focus, and then it presses that key. In this case, Control N for new chat. So there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with these. And let me move on to the next slide. And this one, I am going to, all right, this is where I do a little scene changing, so bear with me a second. All right, and okay, that is, yeah. Anyways, so let me turn on video here. Of course, the only extra camera I have at the moment is my built-in webcam, so you're going to see foggy me. But, the lighting in here, I'm sorry. This is, so I've got some dials on here. So for instance, let's say I'm presenting, but I have a PowerPoint that I've placed behind me. I've actually got a knob here for fade, so I can actually fade my video out so you can see through me, kind of like the whiteboard. So I can fade in and out. There's also, if I want to get really close and in person, I can zoom in. And if you want to have some fun, I don't think this really has any. Shrink that back down. If you want to take people for a loop, you can. I don't see any real business purpose for that one, but it is kind of fun if you're trying to get people's attention. But on here, I'll see if I can hold it a little closer. Oh, the lighting. I'm sorry. I'll just. So I've got here on the screen, which you can't really see, but I've got Smart Home, which connects into my Home Assistant, and I've got some of the lights that I'm not going to push them because it'll drive my family at home crazy with the lights going on and off, But I've got some live buttons here. Like I happen to have solar at home, so it tells me how much solar I'm producing, how full my batteries are. But it's stuff I can do and I can see from a glance. It's kind of fun. All right, so let me turn off video. Okay, I got to do a little cleanup here for a second. Excellent. Any questions on Elgato? Yes. Yes. It's you program each key individually, and you drag in what you want it to do. Yeah. Yep. What you want. In this case, these were actually brought in from the software I'm using to present, which we'll talk about later, but it had settings for dials. There are some buttons that work better with dials than others, but you can do it. And there's a press button. When you press it, you can have it reset to a certain size. Yes, you can switch cameras. And mute deck. Okay, so let me do some behind the scenes shifting here again. All right, mute deck is it's a simple software, but I found it quite useful. What it is, a simple interface. It gives you your primary buttons for your collaboration software: mute, video on and off, share, stop sharing, exit. You can pin it right and center. It also integrates the Stream Deck, so I can use those buttons hardware on the Stream Deck as well. The way I think this makes a difference is I'm in not just Teams calls, unfortunately, but I'm also in Zoom, Google Meet, whatever customers want to do their own thing. This software works with any of them. I have the same buttons regardless of what software I'm using, which is quite handy. So you don't have to hunt and find that background window. It's the same overlay. So I'm going to demonstrate. Ooh, I'm going to screen share. We just got the, all right, here we go. We just got the barbershop window there. There we go. All right, you didn't see that. That was recorded, but anyway, so here's the button here. So I'm in Teams right now, and you can see I'm in a call that says Teams call. So if I hit mute, it goes off mute in Teams. I'm not going to turn video on and off because that's what I'm sharing through. But how it knows about the different apps is from the expansion here. So I've got enable for Zoom, for Teams. It also does classic Teams, Google Meet, WebEx. It'll also integrate in the busy lights. So if you use some of these apps, but you want it to show that you're busy, it'll integrate into your busy lights. If you're in Office, that helps there. There is custom actions you can create. I don't really do that because I can do those custom actions on other devices like my Stream Deck. But if you didn't have a Stream Deck, you could create custom things to do through it. So pretty simple software. I like this one. It's inexpensive. It's also a one-time purchase, which I will say, I'm not affiliated with any of these devices or software that I'm talking about. The only one that Josh gave me, the Panicast. So I will say I have a little partial attachment to that one. But other than that, everything is, there's no, you click on things, I don't get money. So that's not the purpose. All right, so moving on. Any questions on Mute Deck? All right. Camera lighting. So what it is, I think we all know what it is. We've seen YouTube videos. It's a light that shines on your face from the perspective of the camera. So it helps highlight so you show up. Clips on the top or on the stands. But it really helps brighten a person's face. And I got a couple demos here. And this screenshots here, it's the same camera. They just have a lighting on it, which you can see really makes a big difference. And you'll hear this, sometimes they'll say it's not about the camera, it's about the light. That's people say that use a built-in webcam, but it's still there. So most of the webcams have a limited light sensors, especially built-in or some of the lower end ones. So help those out quite a bit. It'll make a big difference. I'm going to demonstrate it here in a second. We'll get into that now. So here I'm going to bring up my built-in webcam, which I need to turn on. Okay, so you can see me here. I'm going to turn on this bright light in my face. If I can find the power button. Which, give it a second. There we go. So now you can see it's starting to help that light sensor, and it sees me. Of course, I'm not in the best position for this, but it does make a difference from on and off. When it's off, it's trying to capture the light, and there's not quite enough here. Plus, I have that looks like I haven't slept in a week. So yeah, just having a light simple like this is nice. Now, when you go buying a light, if you go buy one, there's a couple things I would suggest you look for. And share screen. Share. I need to do some behind the scenes going on here. Okay. And let me make that full screen and turn off my video. Okay. So this light that I'm using here is called it's a Logi Litra Glow. I like this one. Now, if you've owned one, who's owned a ring light? Have you had the USB powered one where you have a little pad that's on the wire that you press to turn on and off? If you do, what are you going to do when you have that, when you start a meeting? You're going to forget. So wouldn't it be nice to be able to have it turn on and off automatically when your camera is on? And the Logitech is not only USB powered, but it's USB controlled. So I can control all the aspects of this camera if I'm on the right spot to click on it. Oops, I don't want to rename it. I can turn on the temperature, the color of the light, the brightness, but I have a button here, activate with camera. So now it's automated, so if I go back to my previous slide and turn on my camera, the demo gods are with us, the light comes on. See, so it comes on. So now if I turn the camera off, a few seconds later, the light goes off. So it's automated, I don't have to do it, which is great.
Does this depend on, can you choose which camera does, so if you have the built-in, does it also have like the anode?
Yeah, right now I have these cameras. I think they're still lit, but it's connected to the primary one I have for the software. So if I go back to another that has these guys, it won't turn on. All right, cool. All right, the next one, VCam. I've been using I used VCam. I don't use it quite as much now because it does have some aspects to it, but I thought it was cool enough to put in here. VCam came up with, it was basically a webcam middleware. So it would take your camera input and it would let you do processing to it before it sent it to the software, the collaboration software. And it came out with the replacing backgrounds and shadowing you out long before the collaboration software started doing it inherently. But it uses your GPU. It'll do a system scan and find what it can utilize to make that better. Now, I don't have a hefty GPU in my Dell laptop, but it's going to do the best it can. In this case, I couldn't load it on here because I had so many other things that was blowing up. So taking over cameras and stuff. But why I think it makes a difference is it does give you, especially if you're using a built-in webcam, it gives you a lot more granular control. A lot of the controls that you might only get with a higher-end camera, like setting the zoom level. It can do chair removal. Like if you have a chair that's high behind you when you're sitting, it can actually help remove that chair from it. Auto framing, it does a lot of those things that you get from higher-end cameras. And it does quick switch with multiple cameras. Now demonstration, I just have a recording, which I'm going to talk over. Before I start it though, let me show you the interface. This is the drop down. You select your camera. You have your options here for backgrounds. You can actually put a logo in there. What's cool about having a logo back there is if I blur the background, the logo doesn't blur, which is kind of nice. And let me go ahead and press play on this one. Back over here. Talk through it. So you can, right here I'm selecting backgrounds. I can just remove, there I'm sitting in my office. I can remove just the background, which, no big deal. Collaboration software does that. There's static backgrounds. And then what you can also do, believe it or not, is I can put a YouTube video on behind me that's moving. So here I am, sitting in the middle of the street blocking people. Now here's another one. Your boss wants you in the office. Well, who's to know? Who's to know? If you look, they are moving. The people in the background are moving. Screens are changing. And I really hope they're actors. Here's another one. It's a kind of a glazed background. And here I'll turn the logos on, so you'll see my logo is clear. And we'll turn that off. I eventually get to it. And if you really want to get people's attention, here's one. This will get people's attention. You just have some funky, weird YouTube video playing in the background. Anyways, all right, so here's the settings. And this kind of shows performance. So you can see here it's calibrated based on the hardware that I have. Now Teams and those, they do that to some extent in the background as well, but it's pretty slick. Let me show the next one. Another cool feature of VCam is if you're running Windows, I can now use my iPhone or my Android as my webcam. So in this case, I've installed the software on my phone, which I have to say it's a Motorola Razr. It doesn't necessarily have the best camera, but it works for the demonstration purpose. So here it's looking for the software I loaded and connecting to it wirelessly. Here we go. Hey, it found it. My Motorola Razr. It'll take a second and we'll see that stream come in. And I am holding it in my hand, so I apologize. It's not my goal today to make you sick. And apparently I like smirking at things. But here you can do all the same things. Remove the backgrounds, put YouTube videos on. So you could essentially walk around a little bit if you had a wireless headset. You can blur backgrounds. Anything you could do with a regular camera, you can do with your cell phone. And it works for iPhone and Android. So if you're really in a pinch, what's good about this software is it, once again, is a one-time purchase. It's not one of those monthly deals that you have to buy over and over. And for whatever reason, I don't know why I'm showing that. I will go ahead and skip ahead. All right, let me check time. Oh yeah, we're good. So this This is actually a really cool app with, I will say, it's not a very good name. First time you say it out loud, you'll be like, oh yeah. And I will do my best not to say it more than once or twice. But it is a video presentation app. It's actually, I will tell you, it is what I'm using. It overlays your screen. It does kind of like the Teams Cameo, just added that feature recently where you can have just your overlay sitting over slides. But it gives you some more interaction with your slides and such. Some things that it doesn't do is if you have animations and PowerPoints, it doesn't bring those in. It just brings in basically a picture of the slide. But if you do a lot of demonstrations and things of that nature, you can queue up. Like when I was going through, I had all my switching monitors, what am I sharing? I had all that queued up. So when I hit next, it just brings that up. The double cameras that we had, we're viewing, all that is brought in through the app. It works with Teams. It basically is a camera middleware. So when you select your camera in Teams, that's what shows up. So that's actually what I have selected here that I'm showing. And I love it because it gives you more granular control over your interactions, how your video is displayed. You can run it independently. I'm going to demonstrate it. And it integrates with Stream Deck. So that's what I'm using to pass through slides here. Demonstration. Now we might get the barbershop mirror thing. I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. Actually, that's not the next slide. It's the one after. Oh, yeah, the light came on. Ooh. All right, so is it anybody's birthday today? I planned ahead. Young, it's always your birthday. So in here, I just want to show kind of what it looks like. I've actually, some of the things you can do. So I'm actually using a couple of the cameras. This one here, which, kind of should be on that guy, but I can put text in here. I can share a screen and make it any size I want, shrink it down. But it kind of gives you an idea of what you can do with it. So now if I go to the next one, oops, too far. So here I've actually just taken one of my slides out. Yeah, I set this up so you wouldn't get the infinite loop. This is the interface. Actually, I can show it here. So the middle part right here is your palette. So that's what's getting displayed as your video camera. So in there you can add screen share, media, text. You can add Giphies like the happy birthday. You can also bring up a whiteboard, but I can also add, I can choose cameras. Let's bring a camera in there. So I can add another camera. So if you have a bunch of different cameras, you want to show different things happening at the same time, you can do that in here. And then if I turn on my camera, I can put myself in there behind it. And once again, if I'm want to still be there but not be in front of the slide, I can fade myself out using the software. On the right side over here, you've got the options for, in this case, I have my video selected, so I can do everything I was doing with the Stream Deck I can do here. I can also make myself look like my kids may recognize that, Game Boy. That one puts makeup on me apparently, compliments. Pixelize. But it just gives you some cool stuff. There, it's raining on me. So, but anyways, but it's just a very unique software. Now this software, I said it once. This one does have a monthly fee with it. But I talked to a bunch of the vendors when I was researching this, and if you sign up for it, you get 90 days free until the end of April, which is next week. But it's just pretty neat to look at. Okay, so next I'm going to move on, kind of give a summary and review. We went through all 7. We talked about microphones, the types of microphones you might want to look for, the placement and the importance of it. We talked about cameras, kind of the same thing. And we talked about the Elgato Stream Deck, which once again is my favorite hardware device. Talked about the Mute Deck, the software. They actually gave me a code, so if you use that code, you get 15% off. It's very inexpensive, $15 with the code. It's what, $12.50. And all this will be in the slides. You got a photo? All right. We talked about camera ring lights, even though mine's a square. They call them a ring. We talked about VCam XSplit. They actually gave me a code for my nonprofit for 10% off. And once again, I'm not affiliated. I get nothing for it. It's just, hey, it's there. And we talked about the second time. We are good. All right, so get into questions. Any questions or yes? Actually, if you allow me to go back, that is actually a, let me show this. So if you look here, this guy's room in the back it's a little bit lit up, but he actually just has, I will use the mouse. He just has a lamp and a little bit of light from his window, but other than that, it's kind of dark. So just having 1 or 2 lamps in the back could make a big difference. You just don't want the bulbs directly facing the camera because it can kind of bleed out. But yeah, you definitely want to try to get some light in the background. Otherwise, it's just going to, you're going to look like Mr. No number 1. Enclosed room. Do you just put like a lamp on the floor or something?
If I had the money to do so.
Okay.
The lighting in my home office is in the basement, so
Okay.
I've got a couple of
Little overhead.
It's like kind of a yellowish amber lamp.
Right.
So I changed those light bulbs out to more day light style. Still not a whole lot of light, but I would probably, and I don't know what's out there, but maybe get like a fill light, or like a photographer would use for
Yep.
whatever, and just put that in the background above where the camera, the top of the camera, you can see.
Right.
So that it's behind you and you've got some kind of light back there.
Yeah.
It makes it more even.
Right. Yeah, that's good. When I was doing research for lighting, there was a lot of good videos out there for it. I don't know if I should take, these are my kids back here. Jack?
I was going to say, does Stream Deck integrate with OBS pretty well?
Yes, it's actually one of the primary reasons Stream Deck was made was for a lot of the streaming community.
Does it work with
OBS.
say Teams and maybe multi-PC, say with an end calls that they like on Stream Deck and using starting to stream that?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, you can even integrate a button to tell you how many YouTube subscribers you have at any given time.
Really?
Yes.
Because I've streamed a few times, and usually I have to kind of hold on to my phone with the screen pulled up, trying to keep track of that while also keeping track of the screen. You're saying the Stream Deck.
Yeah, you know what? I just learned something about my son.
What are you streaming?
We will talk about that later. That's awesome.
Okay, we'll save it for after.
All right, wait, if you want, don't leave yet, because I got a couple of questions, and I have some things for those. My kids are not included in that. Or the people in the back, I'm sorry. Yes, Micah?
What's the average
Stream Deck, so you have everything from a mini, which is I think about $80, going up to the Stream Deck XL, which is their largest version. That one is MSRP is like $250, but you can find them on Amazon on sale pretty often for like $199. I mean, they're not inexpensive, so it's Yes, like this is the Stream Deck Plus that has the dials. This is one of their newer ones. It has a little different, you can actually connect lighting to this and dim your lights with the knob. All kinds of cool stuff. It's USB connected, yes. Oops, let me get back. The Logi Litra Glow.
About $60
Oops. There we go. I saw several other people show their cats, so I put my cat on the thank you slide. All right, so I have a question, which if you know me, I'm sorry you can't answer this one, but how many kids do I have? Yes, sir. Oh, you're close. 5, yes. All right. Would you like a Stream Deck Mini or a Litra Glow? The deck? Woo! All right. Yeah. All right. All right, I got a question.
Sorry.
Yes,
I
Jack.
was going to say, would you equate the Stream Deck, I guess, in a sense, to like a stenographer's like small keyboard, in the sense that it just completely simplifies.
It does, because you can macro, you can do one button press for things. So now you just made me lose track of what my other question was. Oh, how many buttons are on the Stream Deck XL? First one right. Yeah, yes, sir. 32, you got it. You get a Litra Glow. Woo. That's it. Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully you got something out of it. I know it's not a deep technical Teams discussion, but I wanted to do something a little different. Thank you.